Hello, this is Jason Thompson,
And Tina Decker.
and we're here to visit with you about strengths-based leadership and engagement element 6. And we're going to start off today with a quote that Tina and I both like, and that is, minds are like parachutes. They only function when open. So again, we want to keep you focused and remembering to operate with an open mind, operate from a place of positivity, and try to move forward with your teams and with yourself through the universe with that open mind to have positive outcomes. In the strengths universe, we're going to continue on the journey that we've been on for the last few months. And where we hope you are at this point in the journey is having a pretty solid mastery of your own individual talents, how they show up for you and how they make you more powerful. We're transitioning right now in the moment to you being able to not only leverage your own talents for your own benefit, but to leverage those talents through your team members and to also help your team members utilize their own talents to both benefit themselves and their teams. We'll talk about the progression in that space here in just a few minutes. Where we are right now in the 21-step journey is on the concept of appreciation. And again, that's about recognizing and leveraging the powers and opportunities of your own talents, getting to like who you are from a talent perspective, and appreciating how it shows up for you. We're also in the phases of focus and investment, where you are intentionally utilizing your dominant talents in order to achieve desired outcomes. So if you've got a deliverable at home or a deliverable in the workspace, being able to intentionally use your natural talents to bring about a positive outcome for that deliverable. What we really need you to get to in order to be in the zone and on the court with us is to embrace your incompetence. And I'm not saying any of you are incompetent. You're all quite talented, and we're happy to have you in this experience with us. What I'm speaking to in this phase is being uncomfortable with the strengths tool, either for yourself or for speaking to your team members with it. And it's totally fine for you to feel like you're not on solid ground with everything we've been giving you right now. But the best way to go from your current state to your desired state is to get out there and break a few eggs. Experiment with this with your team members. Have small failures if you need to in order for you to gain traction and learn. And that's what this quote is all
Yeah, and it's really just about practicing. So you're not going to get great at anything unless you take some risk. So that's what we're encouraging you to do. Try some things. Not everything's going to work, but the more you try, the more comfortable you'll get with it, and the quicker you'll find things that do work for you in the space, and that's how you get better.
And to kind of circle back to where we started this conversation about strengths, is by this point, you should be at step 11. You should be all the way through focus and investment. And we kind of started out with, here are your talents, here's how you use your full 34 report. Take some time utilizing the action items and blind spots to get more familiar with each one of your talents. And in the last few months, we hope you've been able to appreciate them, how they show up, and then to start intentionally utilizing your dominant talent themes. Again, continue working with the action items and the blind spot warnings. Pick one talent or a new one you've already used, and pick some different action items and blind spot warnings to focus on for this month in order to build some more power for your individual strengths.
Yeah, and I think this is really a point where we start to shift from how we've always thought about who we are and who other people are to really embracing and utilizing strength-based in a different way. So if you've always seen yourself as having certain shortcomings, and now what we're saying is embrace who you are, love who you are, be able to be with who you're not, and figure out how you get your outcomes through who you are. So it's a bit of a shift. And again, it's going to take some practice. So we just encourage you to keep practicing, keep trying things, tell people you're practicing, say, hey, help me on this journey, and we'll get better together.
And we're going to give you some tools, some templates to fill out for each one of your team members, and some conversation frameworks, questions you should be asking, ways to actually engage in utilizing strengths from a leadership perspective. Those should come out about the same time this video does, and we'll give you some tactical tools to take it from your brain to your hands to actually use out there in the world with your team members.
And so actually we've given you a fair number of tools over the last few months, and you're going to feel us pushing you a bit. So you've probably heard us say we can't do the push-ups for you. So we've given you some mental concepts, some things to use. Now it's kind of up to you. So we'll support you any way that we can, but we can't do the push-ups for you. So you need to get out there and do the push-ups.
So just remember, we've got all the videos that we've prepared so far around strengths and engagement. We've got the videos that we've prepared to give you some dialogue examples, the role playing that Tina and I did to help you both with strengths-based and engagement conversations. And you're about to get the tactical tools around strengths-based conversations as well. Further, keep in mind that all the engagement information we've given you has been very tactical, specific questions that you can ask and frameworks for you to have those engagement conversations. So lots of tools in your hands.
Go do it.
Yep, you guys have just got to start hammering. Get out there and go to work. So here we are at the next we're at this transition phase between 11 and 12. And you, again, complementary partnerships is all about you knowing your weaknesses and being able to recognize team members that can help you fill the gaps. Application and strategy, utilizing your talents in order to achieve the deliverables that you're responsible for. And that's both for your individual role and your role as a leader.
So when we're doing interviews for executives, one of the questions we ask is, tell us about somebody who's better than you are at something that you like to do. And it's a really hard question, right? Because we want to be able to be great at everything. But it's where you start to see if people can create complementary partnerships. It's where you see, I can admit that I'm not great at everything. And P.S., there's some folks that are a go-to for me. If there's something that needs to be done that I know I'm not great at. So it's a way that Jason and I use each other in our work together, because we have complementary strengths. We have complementary things that we're great at. And it's certainly no shame to go and say, hey, could really use you here because I don't have the strength I need to be able to deliver the very best in this arena. So that's one of the things that we want to help you guys learn how to do, because it's better for everybody when you can bring those together.
All right, we're going to move into the engagement space. And we've kind of talked about this before, but I'll just hit on it real quickly. When you can get yourself and your team engaged, you're going to operate in that state of flow more often. And it's going to not only produce better outcomes, but you're going to feel better about life. We all like to exist in that state of flow, and it just makes life better.
So our element 6 this time is, there's somebody at work who encourages my development. So lots of people, like only 4 in 10 actually strongly agree that there's somebody at work who encourages their development, somebody who really cares about what they're thinking about in the future, for how to make them stronger, how to make them improve and grow. So this is like, help me grow. That's the tagline of this one. So one of the most important things about the manager-employee relationship is it's a place where employees can look to you and see what's possible. So they can look at you and see what's possible for them. What kind of career path might they have? What can they become professionally? So we often talk about the shadow of leadership, and it means that even when you're not directly talking to them, they're watching you to see what you do, because it's a clue for them to how to be more successful. And many times they'll be able to trace their success to the relationship that they have with you. So it's a really important relationship.
And it's a question you start to see as people move up the leadership chain is not what have you been able to accomplish, but who have you developed?
Right.
Who have you helped become better and able to grow in their own career? Such a great skill for you to put in your cap and in your toolbox and be able to speak to when you're trying to move into a higher leadership position.
Yeah, so again, another question that we ask people when we're interviewing them sort of for the next level is, what have you accomplished through other people? So this is another arena where as you help people grow and develop, it also helps you grow and develop. So the most effective managers are very intentional with those efforts. So they kind of individualize the approach to the individual. So there's not a one size fits all. There's not a cookie cutter approach. What will help Jason grow and what will help me grow could be two very different things. So great managers really build the opportunities for the specific employee so that they can acquire the skills that they want to help them grow in the direction that's going to be best for them.
So this is, again, another great space for you to think about the individual talents of those people on your team and how you can best feed them. Those top 5 talents are what are going to give them energy. And if you can build opportunities for them to use those talents in an intentional manner, it's going to make them happy and engaged and grow.
And if you as a manager happen to have individualization in your top 5, this will be easy for you. If you don't, we've given you a ton of tools to be able to ask the right questions to find out what your individual employees need and want. So I think it's important to remember that employees want to learn and grow. They wake up in the morning and they don't want to disappoint you. They want to do a great job. And the number one thing that they say in surveys is they want to learn and grow. It's not always about getting the next job. It's almost always, though, about learning something new. So they can't be successful alone. They're going to need your help to do that. Excuse me. So the faster that they can learn and apply what they learn, the faster they'll develop in all areas, and the faster you'll develop and that you'll develop them. So how do you do all this? So start with it being individualized. So as we said earlier, customize whatever your approach is to the individual person who you're trying to develop. It needs to be intentional. So you need to be purposeful. You need to know that the person knows they're being developed and for what, against what end. And it needs to be ongoing. So it's not a one and done. It's not a conversation that you have first of the year and then don't talk about it again till the end. So individualized, intentional, ongoing. So here's some questions to ask yourself. Do you understand which developmental opportunities are the most important to each of your team members? Have you had those conversations with them? Do you understand which opportunities are most relevant to the team members' career growth? Do you know what it is that they want to do next? You know in what area they want to grow? How do you create shared goals and establish expectations with your team? So the shared goals around development. Do you regularly celebrate employees' successes and achievements? Some of that depends on how you're wired, right? Some of it's just blow right by accomplishments and go on to the next thing. It's always a good idea to stop and breathe and celebrate the successes.
So as with the first 5 steps, we're going to give you the questions on the last slide that Tina went through, and I'll flop back to that real quick. And we're also going to give you lots more questions, things to listen for, and other tactical tools for you to put this into play as soon as you want to. Again, I know we're giving you a lot to look at and a lot to work with. If you can really kind of start getting your hands around your team member strengths at this point, it's going to go a long way to helping you be successful in the engagement and strength space.
And I want to put an exclamation point on the fact that this is not a once a year conversation or twice a year conversation. This is a, once a month. What have you learned this month? We've talked about how you want to grow this year. What have you done toward that? What's the best thing you've learned in the last 6 weeks? What do you know now that you didn't know a month ago, and how are you using that? So there's just some ways to talk about development that are not as structured as tell me the 3 things that you hope to know by the end of the year. And again, back to engaging people. It's by knowing them and having them know that you care about them. So it's just another way to have a conversation.
I think last time we put out Element 5, we talked to you about the check-in conversation. And we talked about that in the framework of Element 1 and 2. Is kind of how that video by Marcus Buckingham is laid out. But that check-in conversation doesn't have to just be about Element 1 and 2. It can be about strengths. It can be about engagement. The key focus there is it needs to be frequent and it needs to be strengths-based. And by frequent, we're talking once a week for 2 minutes for each one of your employees around any one of these engagement elements. Wherever you feel like they need it most is where you're going to get your bang for your buck. We're in a place of 52 sprints, not 1 year, okay? So please check back, watch that check-in conversation video often. It's only about 2 minutes and gives you a great amount of power with everything we're trying to teach this year. Other than that, thank you for your time, and we'll look forward to visiting with you about Element 7 next week. In the near future, you can expect lots of things posted to the team channel to give you those tactical tools. Feel free to reach out to us by email if you need to, jpathompson@indigostone.com and Dr. Decker@indigostone.com. and we will talk to you later.
Bye.